Today, we're going to talk about a modern-day Trojan horse, but this one isn't a giant wooden beast. No, this one sails quietly into ports all around the world, hidden inside a simple, boring steel box. Now, you might hear that and think it sounds like the plot of a summer blockbuster. But what we're digging into today is a very real and very troubling strategic question. Could an ordinary, totally unassuming container ship actually be the trigger for the next global conflict? Just picture it for a second. You see a massive ship stacked high with thousands of containers. It's just another piece of the global supply chain, carrying who knows what. It looks completely harmless. There are no weapons in sight, no aggressive maneuvers. It just blends in, right up until the moment one of those steel boxes slides open and a cruise missile launcher rises out of it. Look, I know this scenario sounds pretty wild, but it is not just speculation. It's actually built on a very real foundation of national strategy and existing technology. So let's break down how this Trojan horse ship idea goes from the realm of fiction to a plausible and deeply concerning reality. The entire idea really hinges on this one key policy: military-civil fusion. And this isn't some secret backroom program. It's a publicly declared national strategy by the PRC. The whole goal is to basically erase the line between the civilian economy and the military. It means that any civilian asset, whether it's a tech startup or a global shipping line, can be used to build up the power of the People's Liberation Army. And this isn't just an idea on paper. I mean, look at this image. You can see PLA soldiers, armored vehicles, all being transported on what is very clearly a civilian roll-on/roll-off ferry. Laws like the 2017 National Defense Transportation Law make this official, legally requiring civilian companies to support military operations when called upon. To make this even more concrete, we're not talking about hypotheticals. U.S. lawmakers have pointed the finger directly at specific companies. COSCO Shipping, one of the largest shipping companies on the planet and a state-owned enterprise, has been officially designated by the Department of Defense as a Chinese military company. That designation means it's seen as a key player in this whole military-civil fusion strategy. All right, so if these civilian ships are the Trojan horse, then what exactly is hiding inside? This is where the technology becomes so important. And again, this isn't science fiction. Russia already markets a system called the Club K. And what is it? Well, it's a cruise missile launcher designed to fit perfectly inside a standard shipping container. It can be loaded onto any ship, any truck, any train, and with just the push of a button, it transforms a totally normal commercial vehicle into a sophisticated weapon that can hit land or sea targets hundreds of kilometers away. Now, let's think about the sheer scale of this problem. According to UN data, China's national fleet has over 10,000 ships. That's 10,000 potential platforms. How in the world do you monitor every single one of them? And believe it or not, it gets even more complicated. Every year, Chinese ports handle nearly 280 million 20-foot equivalent container units. 280 million. Trying to find a handful of weaponized containers among hundreds of millions of legitimate ones, it's like finding a needle not in a haystack, but in a mountain range made of haystacks. So this is where the problem shifts from being a purely technical challenge to a legal and ethical nightmare. The very nature of this threat seems almost perfectly designed to exploit the international rules of war. The key legal word you need to know here is perfidy. In simple terms, it's illegal deception in war. It's when you pretend to be protected by international law, by acting like a civilian or faking an injury or waving a white flag, specifically to trick your enemy and then attack them. It's considered a war crime because it completely destroys the trust that makes having any rules of war possible in the first place. And there's a really important line here. Deception itself isn't always illegal in war. Using camouflage to hide, that's a lawful ruse of war. But feigning injury to ambush a medic who comes to help you, that's perfidy. It's betrayal. And for what we're talking about today, the key example is this: disguising a warship as a civilian vessel in order to attack. That crosses the line from a clever tactic into a war crime. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Legal scholars are pretty clear on this. As this quote points out, a legal ruse operates within the rules of international law. Perfidy, on the other hand, works by abusing those same rules to gain a lethal advantage. It's the difference between playing the game and cheating at it. So, what does all of this mean in the real world? Let's take this down from the high-level world of law and strategy right onto the bridge of a naval warship. Let's put you in the captain's chair and face this impossible choice. So here's the situation. You are the commanding officer. Your intel says there could be containerized missiles in the area. A Chinese-flagged container ship is closing in, and it's well within weapons range. It isn't doing anything overtly hostile, but you know what it could be carrying. You have to make a call, and you have to make it right now. Okay, option 1. You wait for a hostile act. You treat that ship as a civilian until it proves otherwise. This is, without a doubt, the legally correct choice. The problem? If that container pops open, you might only have minutes, maybe even seconds, before a missile hits you. So you follow the law perfectly, and your ship and your crew get sunk. So what about option 2? You strike first. You decide the risk is just too great, and you fire a disabling shot. But what if you're wrong? What if it's just a ship full of sneakers and electronics? You've just attacked an unarmed civilian vessel. That could be labeled a war crime, and it would absolutely trigger a massive international crisis. You save your ship, but you might have just started a world war. Well, then there's a third option, a sort of middle ground, right? You try to force an inspection. You stop and board the ship. But remember those numbers we saw? The thousands of ships and millions of containers? You can't just inspect one. To be safe, you'd have to inspect hundreds, which basically creates a naval blockade. You'd cripple global trade and trigger a massive economic escalation. So you avoid firing the first shot, but you might have just started a devastating economic conflict instead. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the strategy. It's a type of asymmetric warfare where the real target isn't just a ship. The real target is the legal and moral framework of your opponent. It pushes commanders into a complete no-win situation, forcing them to choose between getting killed cleanly or surviving dirty. So this leaves us with a deeply unsettling question for the future of conflict. When any civilian object can potentially be a disguised weapon, when the battlefield is hidden in the everyday flow of global commerce, what do the rules of war, rules that were built on the clear distinction between a soldier and a civilian, what do they even mean anymore?